All right, what is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. A little earlier this morning because we had this data coming out. So I wanted to jump on here early. Breaking: United States GDP reports in the negative at 0.9%. So technically we're in a recession, right? Some people say no, some people say yes. There are a lot of indicators that are kind of mixed, including one is unemployment. Unemployment has not really risen so much, as it should in a quote unquote recession. But we're going to dive into it here. Good morning to everybody out there. What's happening? Roberto, how we doing, man? We need to take inflation by the horn. Howdy, guys. What's up, Zay? How we doing, man? What's happening, guys? Welcome in, everybody. Make sure you guys hit that like button here on your way in. And let's dive in here. Here's the live look at the SPY here. So interesting action here going on with the SPY as it dipped heavily here right when we got the news. But now look at the bounce straight up off of it. Very interesting here. Action that we're seeing here on the SPY. So I guess people are reacting pretty positively to this news, at least right now. We'll have to see if this holds, but the SPY is a little bit over 400 right now. And again, dipped heavily right below 400 and then bounced back pretty nicely. There were some crazy things, basically happening here. A lot of people had predictions. The economy is expected to have barely grown last quarter and it may have contracted. Well, that is confirmed. It has contracted by 0.9%. Again, if you're just popping in here, 0.9%. We have a second quarter in a row of negative GDP. This was recently, yesterday. This was crazy. So basically, they were talking about the technical definition of a recession, and I just thought this was just wild. Take a listen to this.
That is not the definition.
Brian Deese said in 2008, of course, economists have a technical definition, which is of a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
I can tell you this.
Yesterday he said 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of a recession.
It is not. It is not.
Why did he say that?
It is not. I can speak to what he said yesterday in front of all of you, which is the last thing that you just repeated. There are many factors. Economic factors and indicators to consider, and I will say that the textbook definition of recession is not 2 negative quarters of GDP. We have a strong labor market. We have business that's investing. We have consumers that are also very much, investing and purchasing. That is incredibly important. We have 3.6 unemployment. You do not see that in a pre-recession, and you do not see that in a recession.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about, right? There's a lot of back and forth in terms of what's the technical definition of a recession. And there's been a lot said, regarding the things mentioned there in that short clip about unemployment rates, right? That's the big one and that's true. I mean, that number should be higher if we're technically in a recession, right? But there's some other good insight here. Politico says upcoming GDP report predicting a recession could be possibly inaccurate. Of course, technically, from what we know, a recession is 2 negative quarters of, if in terms of GDP, negative growth, 2 consecutive quarters in a row. We've seen that. So if you're just popping in, welcome into the stream. Make sure you hit the like button here on your way in. Consider subscribing to the channel if you are new. But we have breaking information. U.S. GDP reported at 0.9%. And I'm wondering what people are saying here in mainstream media. Let me see if I can find some GDP stream from Yahoo Finance or something like that. Let's see here. This is not a good one. Let's see what Bloomberg
by 2050
has here. Let's mute this here for a second. So I'm guessing that they're talking about this. Let's see here. Let's tune in here.
Which is fair. This goes back, I caught the clip with Dennis Lockhart. They are moving on to this second stage now that they've brought policy to a kind of more neutral level. But inflation just remains too hot for them to think they're going to stop. I mean, we're expecting a 50 basis point rate hike at the September meeting and have been for some time. But, there's just too much inflation in the pipeline for them really to relent yet.
Jonathan, with the greatest respect for economic historians, does it matter from your perspective whether the MBER calls this a recession or not? Shouldn't market participants just be trading on the data in front of us? And if it's weaker, it's weaker. And to Lisa's point, pair that with 9% inflation, it's problematic, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I mean, the NBER isn't gospel either, but the NBER does set a threshold for sort of how broad the weakness is. It hasn't shown up in payroll employment yet, and also a certain amount of the severity. I mean, right now, as much as consumer spending's been weak, I mean, it is positive. I mean, we're just chugging along at pretty weak growth. Q1 in the report was held down by a lot of the noisy components coming off the very strong Q4. So, yeah, I would downplay a little bit the sort of the technical recession signal. But, going back to what Mike said, I mean, the fact of the matter is we've been sort of writing about this is the problem with the Q2 report.
Yep.
The Q2 report's weak for domestic demand. I mean, it's the U.S. stuff that looks weak in Q2, and that doesn't really bode well looking ahead.
Jonathan, do you see this spreading to the labour market, and how quickly? Because one thing I think we'll hear from the administration later is that the consumer's holding up. They'll say things like the labour market is still strong. Do you see it remaining that way through the next quarter?
No, we have a pretty meaningful slowdown in payroll employment. We actually would make a case that it has been sort of artificially supported somewhat in recent months. You've seen substantially more weakening in initial claims, continuing claims, the household survey data. And given the severity of the slowdown in aggregate demand, we would certainly expect the labor market to follow. We're looking for payrolls to, at some point in the third quarter, run under 200K a month as part of that slowing, on the way to further slowing in Q4.
Do you wish you hadn't adjusted your forecast yesterday, given that it was pretty much on the money, John, for the upgrade yesterday?
Bad form.
The optics of getting these inventory deflators correct and everything, we were pretty close in getting the decline. So and altogether, the components were sort of structured the way we expected. So I'm pretty happy.
He's giving you credit because the original estimate was basically on the money, John. Anyway, Jonathan, it's good to catch up. Jonathan Pingle there of UBS. We had a lot of upgrades yesterday based on the data of yesterday. Before we got those upgrades, some of them were very, very close to what we actually got. Tom, there we go. A second consecutive quarter of negative growth in America. And Mike McKee and I are going to break down those numbers for you again in the next hour.
I'm going to go away from the talk here. John, gross private domestic investment cratered. There's no other way to put it.
Subhadra Jaffa is going to join us from SocGen. She'll weigh in on all of this in just a moment on Bloomberg TV in about 20 minutes' time. Looking forward to it.
All right, so interesting perspective there, similar to what we were saying here. But there's definitely two negative quarters. That is a fact. Now, whether that's technically called a recession or not, I guess it's up for debate nowadays. But somebody was saying Bitcoin is selling off a little bit here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as well. Let's go back over to crypto here and let's launch the Bitcoin chart and see what's going on here. Let's go into the 5 minute here. All right, so it's selling off a little bit, but not anything crazy here. So we're back down to 22.8. We were above 23K leading up to the breaking news here at 8:30 this morning, getting the GDP numbers, but a nice green candlestick here working in the 5 minute. Maybe we'll push back up above 23,000 here, but to be expected. I think I don't think this was that shocking to anyone. Again, if you're just popping in here, welcome in. Breaking U.S. GDP reported at negative 0.9%. So that is the number, negative 0.9%. Let's see what the overall crypto market is doing here, how it's reacting. Okay, dialing back a little bit, but nothing major. Still Bitcoin hovering around 23K. If we can sustain this throughout the day, trade sideways here, I'd be happy with that. I'd be totally okay with that, right? Give me your thoughts, guys, down below. I want to hear from you. Luke says, but with gas steadily falling, I see nothing but good news of inflation. If we can keep this momentum, and I only see a 50 basis point raise in September and possibly a positive GDP next quarter. That's great insight, Luke. And I think that's exactly what was said there in that last interview, that expect a 50 basis point raise in September. Now we go 2 months without really hearing from the Feds. So that'll be interesting in and of itself. We'll see how much how much ground we can gain in these 2 months, and we'll see how these rate hikes affect everything come September. Levels of Madness says it's all trading sideways, nothing new. Yeah, for right now, it's pretty boring, and I'm totally cool with that. If we can continue to trade sideways here, Ethereum and Bitcoin down about 0.5%, give or take. If we look at pretty much everything is just flat, right? Here in the last hour. So nothing major, which I'm totally cool with that, right? Even in the last 24, nothing is really down that heavily either. So that's good. I mean, we're basically trading sideways. And of course, yesterday was a big move to the upside. You know, I did an article here or read an article recently and talked about it, provided some analysis around this in my former video that I just did right before I popped on live. It was interesting. I mean, a bullish rate hike question mark, why crypto spiked. And there were some interesting perspectives here. Maybe investors were expecting worse, right? They were expecting the 100 BPS and they only got the 75. But then there are people like this who say, hey, listen, the price of Bitcoin right now is just still ranging between this 19K and 23K. And that's true. You know, when you zoom out a little bit here, the price of Bitcoin really hasn't fluctuated that much here in the last few months, aside from the big sell-offs, you know, based on some external things that happen, you know, whether it's Three Arrows Capital, the UST collapse, Terra Luna, right? Outside of that, I mean, we've pretty much consolidated here, at least in the last month or so, even a little bit more than that, 19K to 23K. But basically, this person on Twitter says, if you want to buy here, go ahead. Just don't regret it and cry if the market makes new lows, which is likely. I'm not buying, right? So Jermaine's in the house. What's up, man? How are we doing? The only positive of this negative number is that it was lower than a lot of predictions. Agreed. Any update for Polkadot? Mohad, I hold some Polkadot, but you know, I don't have anything breaking right now with Polkadot. I think it's a really good project. You know, I don't have a ton of it. I'd like to have more of it, but there still may be time to accumulate. You know, right now I'm not buying a whole lot. I'm just kind of dipping my toes in to the crypto market right now. You know, I've got a couple different cryptos that I'm watching really closely. So for example, you know, if Ethereum were to go back below 1,000, I think that's a great entry point. Bitcoin, you know, anytime below 20 right now, I think is a really good entry point. With Cardano, this is what I'm really watching closely right now. If Cardano gets down to that 41 cent range, 42 cents even, that is where I'm looking to add. If you go to the 3-month here on Cardano, you can see here, it's touched down close to 40 a couple different times. The low here this year is 39 cents. So if we can get in that low 40 cent range, I think that's a great buy. Cardano has a big upgrade coming here later this month as well. The Vassal hard fork, which we've talked about that. So Cardano is really on my radar here, both for a swing trade opportunity and to accumulate ADA for the long term. And if I go back here, there's another one I'm really paying close attention to right now. And these are both top 15 cryptos, and that's Polygon. Polygon Matic. I made a nice swing trade already. I took some profits, got in around 55 cents, 54 cents, something like that. And this thing almost got to $1. I think it got to like 97 cents or 98 cents. Got there right on the heels of $1. And I do think with some bullish sentiment, we could see Polygon make another move. In fact, there was some news more news came out on Polygon actually. And let me see if I can find that. There was actually, you know what? I think it was on my aggregator here. Let's see here. Welcome in, everybody, too. If you're just popping in and if you're new to the channel, welcome in. We got the GDP numbers we were looking for here this morning. And look at this. Bitcoin is bouncing back. Look at that. Bitcoin's bouncing back heavily here. That's nice to see. So we're actually moving higher than we were pre-GDP numbers. So here we go. Well over 23,000 here as Bitcoin is moving in the 1 minute. We'll keep this chart up for sure. But let me bounce over here. I want to find this Polygon article because there's just been bullish news after bullish news for Polygon, right? Whether it was the Disney partnership, whether it was with the merge coming for Ethereum, just so many things going well for Polygon right now. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get this to pop up. Binance US support Matic staking. Oh, here it is. Mercedes-Benz taps Polygon to launch data sharing platform. So they continue to have partnerships with massive, massive companies. Polygon's widespread adoption across various sectors continues to gain momentum. Mercedes-Benz, the latest brand to be powered by Polygon. Yeah, just bullish news after bullish news right now with Polygon. And there was a great, great article. Look at that. Polygon price soared 233% in 1 month. Insane. In the middle of a bear market, right? Will Polygon explode to $1? This was a good article, I believe, here. No, there was really one that outlined everything that was going on with Polygon that I really liked. It was a little ways back. Let's see here. These are actually all new articles. So a lot going on with Polygon. Look at this. Have to go back a little ways here. Looks set for retracement. Polygon flips this token to become most traded crypto among Ethereum whales. Ooh, just one whale. Okay. Let me see if I can go back a little bit on page 2 and find it. Please say English things. I am speaking English. Earnings reports equals dump. Not so much. Things are reversing, man. It's actually pumping. So we have flipped back to the green here. It dumped here, right here momentarily when things first came out, but then this was right after. So it was a sell-off right when the data came out, and then boom, Bitcoin has taken off. Where's the SPY at? Yeah, the SPY has taken off. So the Bitcoin and SPY moving together. That's good to hear, or good to see. Let's see. Top 5. Polygon. Updates week 3. I think it might have been in this one here. Let's see. Yeah, this was it, I think. This was it too. They introduced a new scaling solution. That just came out recently. Polygon is the 6th largest chain by total value locked with over 1.8 billion. Its native token Matic currently trades at around 80 cents. Okay, yeah, we've been higher than that, but that's another thing. 6th largest chain in TVL. I'm trying to find the article that outlined everything really nicely. There's so much stuff out here on Polygon. Usually I can find it pretty quickly. See if it was this one. It was one talking about the new scaling solution. I remember that. Okay. But just bullish news after bullish news for Polygon. That's another one I'm watching really closely. That one and Cardano are the two that I'm really watching. S&P moving, cup and handles everywhere in crypto. Yep. Love it, Taylor. Love it. Get ready for the nice pullback, guys. Hold them horses back a bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm prepared for it. If it pumps, great. If it sells off, I'm ready for it. I don't know who those big buys were. PS5, future of gaming, but people are buying heavily here. Keep your eyes on Tonic. Yeah, Jermaine. I've heard a lot about it. It had a nice little run recently, didn't it? Thanks so much, Tori. I appreciate it. Johnny B, appreciate it, man. GDP means nothing. We are all stronger than the GDP. Floating high. Hi, what do you think about Terrarium? Can you make some videos about Terra? I think they have a big burn coming up soon. Yeah, I've made quite a few videos about Terrarium, and they do have a big burn coming up. They're building a centralized exchange. I think it's a really good project. It's a new project, too, with a lot of room to grow. It's probably going to pump more at 9:30 when the market opens. Yeah, that's what we're going to have to wait for. We'll probably still be on live here. We'll see what happens when the market opens. But yeah, this is pre-market. That is a good point here. Still, as the SPY continues to make some nice moves here. Let's go to the 1 minute. Yeah. So that was when the data came out right here, and then it just so quickly reversed, right? It was like, oh no, things aren't looking good. Boom. And we've just continued to steadily go up here. Let's see what people are saying here. GDP. Let's see if we have any top information here. So the U.S. economy shrank at a 0.9% annual rate last quarter. That marks a second straight quarterly decline in GDP, a common definition of a recession. I like how they're saying now a common definition of a recession, not everybody's definition. This was crazy. Something that happened. And excuse me if you've seen this, if you're already on live, but I want to show people who are popping in here. Listen to this. This is just wild to me. This is just from yesterday. Listen in, guys. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It's totally free to do. Totally helps us out too. If you can hit that like button, please do so and listen in here.
That is not the definition.
Brian Deese said in 2008, of course, economists have a technical definition, which is of a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
I can tell you this.
Yesterday he said 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of a recession.
It is
What
not.
changed?
It is not.
Why did he say that?
It is not. I can
What's the difference other
speak
than
to
the president?
I can speak to what he said yesterday in front of all of you, which is the last thing that you just repeated. There are many factors. There are many factors, economic factors and indicators to consider. And I will say that the textbook definition of recession is not 2 negative quarters of GDP. We have a strong labor market. We have business that's investing. We have consumers that are also very much, in investing and purchasing. That is incredibly important. We have 3.6 unemployment. You do not see that in a pre-recession, and you do not see that in a recession.
Yeah. Fascinating. I mean, I thought you provided some good numbers as to why we weren't in a recession, but I mean, we've been using this technical definition of a recession for a while. The 2 back-to-back quarters, but a lot of people are playing the political game. Here's the other thing to consider, guys. Midterm elections coming up in November, right? So there's a lot of that happening right now too, where people are trying to spin things positively. Things are always political, right? Always political, especially when we have a November midterm coming up right around the corner. So keep that in mind as well. Keep up the vid, Zach. Loving them. What do you think of Uniswap's recent run in the last few days? Well, I think it has to do with the potential fee switch. So I don't know if you guys saw this video I did. I think it's actually pinned on my channel. So this is why I think Uniswap has been running. I do like Uniswap. But recently, check out this video. I'll link this down below. But they have they're teasing this idea of a fee switch that would allow people who hold Uniswap to earn passive rewards. Here's that video on Uniswap. I just posted it in chat. And there you go. And I'll also drop it in the comment section. Check that out because not a lot of people saw that video, and it was a really fascinating information in there. And that's why, guys, people are getting in there because if they make this fee switch, you're going to be earning passive income every day just by being a Uniswap holder. So basically, there's about 3% that goes back to LP liquidity pools. And if this were to happen, if this switch were to happen, they would take 0.5% of that and give it back to holders instead, which is interesting. So that's why Uniswap, in my opinion, was pumping a little bit. And yeah, so let's see what else we got. You have solid information that helps navigate these uncharted crypto waters. Appreciate it, Tori. Thank you, man. Can't wait till it goes really down. Could be. The big fall could be still coming. Keep an eye on Terrarium and Coca Combat. Thanks, Crypto Summers. Mystic Poker will release the game Saturday now. Oh, man, I feel bad for her. Yeah, that was rough. It was rough. How do you know if a politician is lying? Their mouth is moving. Yeah, it's. I mean, what she was saying was accurate, right? But it still doesn't, change the technical definition of a recession. J.R. Ducey asked the question Americans want to hear. Love him. I used to watch his dad when I was in the 20s. Oh, nice Tori. Gary Gensler, Janet Yellen, the SEC, and Fed control the markets, not former president. Let's see what else top news is. Worth noting, there's a reason why 2 down GDP quarters has long been the standard definition of a recession. Out of the past 10 times the U.S. economy has experienced 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth, how many times was a recession officially declared? Answer, 10. Interesting. United States is entering a recession. GDP contracted by 0.9% in Q2. Here's Benjamin Cowan, of course, in the crypto space. With U.S. GDP falling for a second quarter in a row, I suppose recession confirmed. Not that we all did not already know. Estimate for recession was off by over 1.3%. How did you miss that badly? Expectation was 0.4%. Reality, negative 0.9%. Second quarter of negative GDP, which clearly isn't technically a recession. So a lot of people talking about this. This is Meet Kevin. He said, don't worry, Biden says it's a second quarter of negative GDP, which he clearly had a heads up on, isn't technically a recession. Let's see what else people are saying. Cameron Winklevoss, of course. Speaking of Cameron Winklevoss, you guys have to read their book. Have you guys read the Winklevosses twins book? I'm just reading it now. It's unbelievable. I think it's called Bitcoin Billionaire. Let me see. Yeah, this is it. Guys, definitely pick up this book. Here it is right here. It talks all about the Winklevoss twins and how they got into Bitcoin early and, their storied past with Facebook and Zuckerberg. Really great book if you're looking for a good read. What did he say? According to the White House and the experts that be, we're not in a recession. According to the numbers, 2 consecutive quarters of declining GDP, we're in a recession. I trust the numbers because the numbers don't lie. People do. So that's what Cam Winklevoss is saying. Here's Ted Cruz. What did he have to say? Let's see.
Economic success is anything that happens. They define recession as anything that happens under a Republican president. And they define great economic success as anything that happens under a Democrat. And it's propaganda, like substance, truth, facts have nothing to do with it. And so actually this week, I'm introducing a resolution in the Senate. And the resolution is very simple. I'm going to read you the entirety of it because it's only just over a page. Resolution, expressing the sense of the Senate that the historic definition of a recession is 2 negative quarters of gross domestic product growth. Whereas, globally, the most commonly used and widely accepted definition of recession is 2 negative quarters of gross domestic product growth. Whereas, most of the recessions in the United States identified by the National Bureau of Economic Research have consisted of 2 negative quarters of gross domestic product growth. And in each of the last 10 instances in which there have been 2 or more such quarters, a recession was officially declared 10 times in a row. Whereas the use of the historic definition of a recession by the federal government has been important for purposes of economic study and analysis, historical comparisons, and policymaking. Now, therefore, be it resolved that it is the sense of the Senate that the federal government should continue to use the historic definition of a recession. These guys are trying to define us out of a recession.
Okay, so a lot of the same kind of sentiment here. U.S. GDP fell by 0.9% in Q2. That's 2 negative quarters of economic growth. But remember, it's not a recession. There's Coin Bureau chiming in there. Marcus John, came across your channel accidentally. Happy I did. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel. Come back to the channel for more live streams, and appreciate you, man. I think the White House is trying to keep the fear low, thereby downplaying the recession talks. I think that's a great point, Taylor, and I agree with you 100%. I do think You know, they're trying to downplay recession talks. And again, it's a political game, and especially during election time with midterm elections coming up in November, this game is even played up more, right? Personally, I'm not like a very political person, right? I just want good people running the country, right? That's where I'm at. I don't really subscribe to either party. I think both have their flaws, and politics in general in the United States has its flaws. It's not all bad, but the two-party system, in my opinion, could be maybe reworked. I know that'll maybe rustle some feathers, but listen, I look at this very, very unbiasedly. I don't have a bias one way or another, and I do think it is kind of funny how we're trying to redefine a recession, but I get it. They're trying to keep fear low, thereby downplaying the recession talks. Market is volatile. Yeah, let's take a look here. Let's go back in Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin is coming back down now. Yeah, heavy volatility. Yeah, so we got the big sell-off, guys. This was the big sell-off right when GDP came out. Okay, then we ran up, and now we're running back down here in the last 10 to 15 minutes or so. We're back down below 23,000. Let's take a look at the SPY. Looks like the exact same chart, doesn't it? Like, look at SPY and then look at Bitcoin. It's the exact same thing. There's SPY, there's Bitcoin. SPY, Bitcoin. I mean, that's crazy to me, isn't it? That is wild. Very, very similar. Very, very similar. Let's see what they're saying here on Bloomberg for a little bit. Welcome in, everybody. If you're just popping in, make sure you hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel as well. We are here talking about the second consecutive quarter of negative GDP growth. And technically, I think we're in a recession. Let's listen in here and see what they're saying.
As inflation remains high. And that's where the market is right now. We were pricing in for the 10-year Fed funds rate around 3.8% at the June meeting. That's moved on quite substantially to around 3.25%. But the market also, has a much more flatter path after the peak Fed funds rate. And that sort of trajectory, to me, still makes a lot of sense.
So, Bandra, that sounded like the shouldn't debate. What they should do, what they shouldn't do. Is that the same as what you think they will do?
That's hard to know, of course, because it all depends on the data. I think at some point later on this year, they're going to have that debate about whether they care more about inflation or they care about the unemployment picture. You're starting to see claims rise gradually. Yes, the employment picture is still pretty robust. But, with weakness in growth, if you look at the data, whether you look at manufacturing, look at housing, you look at, pretty much, the consumer sentiment, you're starting to see weakness across a broad, swath of metrics. So the Fed's going to have to weigh its inflation mandate with its full employment mandate at some point. And that we think is going to happen later on this year.
Next week, the ISM, ton of economic data. Sebastian, coming up next week. Futures right now negative about 0.1%, bouncing all over the place in the last 30, 40 minutes or so. Yeah. Yields lower now by 11 basis points at the front end on a 2-year, 289. Mike McKee has spent the whole week telling us what is and what is not a recession. Mike McKee, what do you make of this economic data this morning?
It's not a recession, but it sure doesn't feel good, is the way I would put it. The folks down in Washington are going to be arguing over this for quite some time. If you are east of 20th Street, in other words, you don't work at the Fed, you're just going to look at that headline number down 0.9%. But the Fed's going to take it apart. And here's what they're going to see. Consumer spending, not good, up 1%. That's hanging in there, but not really great. But the thing about the consumer spending was we saw a big shift to services from goods. That's been expected. And so if that continues, it's going to change the dynamic of inflation. Business investment down 0.1%. Most of that in structures. Now, the other thing that is investment that really went down is residential housing, down 14%. So you can see the Fed's interest rate increases may be having an effect there.
Let me pause this because I think Travis makes a really, really good point. And so does Luke here. Welcome in, everybody who's new. Hopefully you consider subscribing to the channel if you're just popping in. Welcome in. Luke says, I'll start feeling bullish if we can get a positive month in crypto. I don't think we've had one all year. That's a really good point. Even if we traded sideways, Luke, for a month or two would be great. And maybe we get it now because now we're not going to hear from the Feds for a little while. We're not going to hear from them until September. I think everything is pretty much priced in at this point. I really do. Travis, again, speaks to that exactly. So what other big news are we waiting for to maybe have a price drop? I don't think it's going to come from an economic standpoint here in the short term. If something were to happen like Three Arrows Capital or a centralized exchange collapsing, or I mean, I don't obviously want any of this to happen for cryptocurrency investors, or any investors. But something like that, I think, would be the only factor right now that would really be negative in the next couple months. I could see crypto consolidating here at these levels. Again, we've been trading between 19 and 23K for a little while now. I think we're going to remain there for a little while longer. I do, and I'm totally cool with that. Let's listen back in.
Here's the number, though. That third one there, inventories, that made the big difference. And this is all pandemic related. We had a big drop in inventories as companies sold out of everything during the pandemic. Then they ordered a bunch of stuff. It came in, but very slowly to the United States. And then all of a sudden, it was there, built up big inventories, and now they haven't been growing as much. That took 2% off of GDP. Exports, better performance than expected, 1.4% gain for GDP because of that. You mentioned inflation, John. You look at the nominal numbers, GDP was up 7.8%. Again, we lost 9/10 in the real numbers.
That's a really good point, David. You're right. And I think time will tell, right? The big thing is going to be housing, because that's really what sunk the ship back in 2008. And things aren't looking good in that department. Not a lot of people are talking about it. We'll have to look at unemployment. If the labor cuts continue to happen, and housing. Those are the things I'm looking for. But here's the thing, David, in my opinion, and to everybody out there, I think this is a really good point. Prepare for the worst, right? But obviously hope for the best. And I know that's a cliche, but if we prepare for the worst, and by doing that, what I'm saying is here, keep more cash on hand, save more, spend less, be prepared for the worst. If it happens, you're prepared for it. If it doesn't, then okay, we're okay. And we have maybe a mild recession, and we bounce back pretty nicely. The other thing to consider here is, if inflation does indeed get worse, edge against inflation. And I guess we've really never put that to the test. And I think we will if inflation does indeed get worse. But David makes a really good point. I mean, I don't want to just say, hey, we're out of the woods here. I don't think that's the case. But I think time will tell, right? We need more data. We need more time.
So there is a major inflation impact in this data. And finally, your question, recessions. Well, Jim's right. We've never had 2 consecutive quarters that weren't a recession, but we've had recessions that don't have 2 negative quarters. And a lot of these recessions, the negative quarters didn't come till much later in the recession. So I'm not going to go with recession yet. The real question, though, is, of course, what does this mean for the Fed?
Yeah.
Nothing at the moment, because they're going to take apart the numbers. They're going to look, and they've got a lot of data between now. A couple CPIs, PCE. We'll have 2 jobs reports before then, and putting it in a way you'd understand, John, trying to figure out today what the Fed is going to do on September 21st. September 18th, Chelsea at Liverpool. Tell me the score.
Yeah, I've got no idea. Yeah. And that's the problem,
Exactly.
right? We've got CPI August 10th. We've got CPI September 13th, and we could be in a radically different place. Mike, this is going to be a battle about labels and what to call this, and I get all that. Here's another label. Can we call this stagflation now? Can we do that now, Mike?
Yes, you could call this stagflation now. I think the 2 quarters is enough to do that.
And that is a problem. And Jim Bianco, I want to come back to you. In that world, is bad news good news for this market?
Oh, I think so. And I think it has been that case. So if you go to a week from tomorrow, when we get the payroll report, we get another strong payroll report plus 300,000 like the last one. That will be perceived as good news in the payroll front. Is going to be bad news for the markets because it will make the Fed go harder. If we were to get a weak number, that would be perceived as good news, kind of like what you see today, that the reaction is to a weak GDP report was to reduce the probability of a 75 basis point hike in September, and immediately the futures markets bounced.
And look at the reaction in the bond market. We're down 16 basis points at the front end today. In Germany, Sabadra, on a day we just had a really hot inflation print. Sabadra, what do you make of how the bond market is responding to the incoming information, both on output, economic data, GDP and the like, labour market data, and inflation, headline CPI, wages, etc.? I don't think I can connect with Sabadra. So, Jim, I can always just ask you the same question. Jim, why is the two-year yield in Germany down 15 basis points on a morning we've just had red-hot CPI out of Germany?
Yeah, I think it's reacting to the latest data, and the latest data is the weak growth in the U.S. And you're seeing, because it's moving in kind with what you're seeing in the United States too, that you've got a big move down in yields on our yield curve as well. And in fact, you're actually seeing a little bit of a steepening of the yield curve. It's still negative, but it's just a little less negative. So the market is reacting to this data, and it gets back to the earlier question you asked us, and that is, we've got high inflation and we've got negative growth. That is stagflation. Which is going to matter more? I'll come back to what I said before. I think at the market level, we believe that real growth matters more, but I think at the central bank level or the Federal Reserve level, they're going to think that the inflation numbers matter more.
All right, we'll come back to that here in just a second. David, thank you so much for being very an active participant here. We're talking about 2008 and how similar this is. David provides some good insight here. I'm just rolling through the comments. They came out and said job market was strong and we were not in a recession when the numbers said we were. It was very similar in that regard. A couple months later, then they admitted it was when the job market caught up. Jobs market is a lagging indicator. Those who do not know better were greatly misled. And right now it is a lagging indicator, right? But again, time will tell. We will see. And this is, job market is something we're going to have to track very closely. Again, I want to track housing here. There's been some recent videos. I'll share a video, guys, with you. If you have a second today, go check out this video by Valuetainment. Patrick Bet David, that's his channel over here. This is a great video. If you're definitely somebody like me who's in the housing market right now, who's in the market for a house rather, watch this one. Another 2008 housing crash or worse. And there are a lot of similarities between 2008 and right now in terms of what we're seeing. So it isn't the cards. Again, expect the worst, prepare for the best, but definitely check out this video. I'll link it here for you. There we go. Let's see. I watched this whole thing. It was a great video. I'll drop it in the comments here, guys, if you want to go check that out. Definitely a great video. Okay. Let's see here. Let's catch up in chat. The evolution of money is here. Let's pull Bitcoin back up. Oh, Bitcoin's coming back up, guys. Over 23.1. Nice. Let's not be fooled by this uptrend. If we zoom out a 3-day candle, we are still in a downtrend. 100%. And you're right. I mean, if we just zoom out even a month. Oh, that's the year. Oh, these are monthly sticks. Okay. Yeah, so these are monthly candlesticks. That's a really good point. I mean, look at this. I mean, these are monthly candlesticks. So, I mean, we do have a positive month here in July. I will say that. We haven't seen a positive month here in 3 months. April, May, and June were just treacherous, right? But again, what I want to see here, this is, again, the monthly outlook here. Consolidation right here for a couple months, I would be okay with that. I would be totally cool with that, right? Totally cool with that. Many people believe we're still going to get down in here, right? 12, 14,000 range. And it certainly could happen. But again, we're going to, wait and see. And I'm looking for sideways action. This is a good sign. We do see a positive month. We had 2 positive months in February and March too, which was interesting. Big sell-off November, December, January. Similar sell-off here. So if this is any indicator, we had 3 bad months, 3 red months, 2 green, 3 bad. Maybe we have 2 red, 2 green, maybe even more, right? Hopefully we get one of these runs upcoming where we get about a half a year of growth. But here, let's go into the 4-hour and we can see a little bit about this consolidation here. So this goes back, basically into mid-June, and we were trading right in here. I mean, what would this be? Probably about 45, 50 days worth of data here since the last big sell-off. And we're basically trading right in here in this 23 to 19K range. You could see this whole block is really a consolidation over the last 40, 45 days. Okay. She was down to number 17 on CMC. Wow. Let's see where it's at. I mean, there's a lot of assets there bunched up. Yeah, Uniswap's been on a nice run. That's why. Look, Uniswap's up 25%. 25% in the last 24 hours. And again, that's all related to that fee switch. That video I put out recently was really fascinating. A lot of people, I think, are FOMOing in a little bit. They want to have some tokens on hand in case they do make that fee switch. Yeah, SHIB's right here. I mean, it's right on the heels, though, of Avalanche, Tron, and Uniswap, right? So, I mean, they're all kind of bunched up right here. And Polygon has been on a great tear recently, too. So, yeah, I mean, it's still, I wouldn't look too much into that, though. Travis. Did Google report their Q2 earnings? That I don't know if they're out yet. Let me see here. Google earnings. Had its best day of the year after earnings weren't as bad as feared. Yeah, okay, so they did have them yesterday, yeah. Shares of Alphabet closed up more than 7.6% Wednesday, a day after the company delivered better than feared earnings for the second quarter. Though Alphabet's earnings missed analysts' expectations, some analysts said the results were better than feared given the unwelcoming macro advertising environment. Yeah, I mean, we felt it here even on YouTube, right? Because of course YouTube is owned by Google. Advertisements have went down significantly for YouTubers across the board. Doesn't even matter what sector you're in, and so all the advertisers are not spending as much as they were. Advertisers were spending tons and tons of money over the last 2 years, though, so it might have been a little bit inflated in terms of how much money they were spending, because again, everybody was at home, right? Still, Alphabet stock is down 22% year to date. So yesterday it closed up more than 7%, a day after Google parent company reported earnings for the second quarter that weren't as bad as feared. I think it's a great time to accumulate some of these great blue chips, though, in the stocks and in the crypto world. I've been buying Amazon and Apple. Google's another one. Let's see here what the overall market's doing. Pretty flat here in the last hour still. I mean, we're just Bitcoin basically hovering just over 23K. So I think we've weathered the storm. Unless we get a major sell-off here from the West Coast in the United States, people waking up, I don't think that's going to happen. Most of the money is already on the move here with the stock market getting ready to open up. But I think we're out of the woods here. I mean, with the GDP report, in terms of a negative reaction to it, it's been pretty positive. This is Bitcoin's last 4 hours. This was yesterday on the news of the Fed rate hike. But here's the thing, guys. Again, I want to say this again. See, we weren't, back in mid-July, we were trading at 19K. I do think we're going to continue to trade within this $19,000 to $23,000 range for right now, until we hear from the Feds again in July. And I'd be cool with that. Recession is here, at least for the rest of the year. I don't expect some big growth of crypto or any risky assets. Yeah, I agree. Truslav, I agree. This is exactly like last year. We'll see if we pump in the autumn, but the market feels just like it did last year. We did have the dog days of summer last year, Lord Shiba, for sure, but it was different given we didn't have a war going on. We didn't have a technical recession going on. We didn't have the highest inflation numbers coming in since 1981. So there are some key differences, but don't roll anything out when it comes to crypto, right? Just when you think you have it figured out, the market does something else. So I never try to sit here and say that, yeah, I know exactly what's going to happen and listen to everything I say because I'm always right. And that's not, I don't think that's smart, because Bitcoin and crypto and other markets have proven that sometimes you can have all of the indicators right and you still don't get it right. That doesn't mean you don't try to make predictions, but it just means that you have to humble yourself. If not, the markets will humble you. And it is what it is, right? But that's why they always say it's hard to time the market. What's not hard to do is, well, what's less hard is just put time into the market, right? Over time, we're going to look really solid here when it comes to Bitcoin and some blue chips and good crypto projects. And obviously, the same could be said on the stock market side of things as well. I'm a little behind in chat for sure. Let's see. 2 quarters, negative GDP, market goes nuts. I know. Kevin S., what's up, man? Morning, Muzz. How we doing? I think we should get rid of the party systems and reduce the division between the two parties. Yeah. Dude, I'm way behind here. That was 10 minutes ago. How do I fall behind so quickly? Well, they can keep okay, let me try to get it back here quick. Crypto Vegan, what's up? Everto's in the house. Muzz is in the house. Luis, what's going on, man? Good morning. I would not buy a house until the inflation rate comes down back to 3% and the inflation interest rates come way down. I agree, Luke. I am being patient, my friend. I do want to buy, but I will be totally patient. T Hobbs and I were talking too, because T Hobbs is in the market for a house as well. And yeah, I'll be patient. I'll you know what I'm going to do? I've pretty much made up my mind here in 2022. I'm going to continue to just bounce around to different Airbnbs and travel and enjoy life that way for right now. You don't have to worry about bills. You can basically get prices for similar like you can with rent, but you don't have to worry about heating and cooling and things like that, right? I think we're somewhere in between, Raul. I honestly think we're going to enter this consolidation phase. I do. If Apple and Amazon miss target, we could see some directional change, I guess. Yeah. Dr. Manga, thank you for your previous comment too, man. I'm glad you found the channel. And everybody else out there who's new, who found the channel today, welcome into the community. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, put the notification bell on so you know every time we put out a video and go live. We'd love for you to join us each and every time we do that. Good morning to everybody out there. Kurt says good morning. What's up, man? Hey, mate, what's your view on Phantom? I like Phantom. We talked a lot about it last year. There's Polygon. I'm really bullish on Polygon right now. But yeah, I still like Phantom 100%. And it's way down from where it was. We're still talking about a top 100 crypto, top 60 crypto. It's come way, way down, but it has so much more room to go when we get back into a bull run. Look at that. We're at $3.30. So we're basically a 10x away from that. SPY, there's the SPY. Continuing to look pretty bullish. There's Bitcoin. Let's go Bitcoin 1 minute here. Yep. Nice. Nice candlestick working here for Bitcoin on the 1 minute. PS5 Future of Gaming tagged you on Twitter with BTC analysis chart. Let me see if I can find it, man. What's your Twitter handle, dude? Let me see if I can find it. I have a giveaway going on right now, so a lot of people are commenting. We got a giveaway going on, guys. If you want to jump into that, have a chance to win $200 in Ethereum. Check this out right here. Pin post. Probably do it sometime maybe Saturday morning or maybe late tomorrow. Or probably, well, I'm going to let it run today and probably do the giveaway tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully I can find your chart here. Let's see. Let's see, dude. How long ago was it, man? It's going to be brutal to try to find it. Yeah. It's somewhere in there. Retrace to 21.5 before potential to go higher. We're getting close to that right now. Like the stream, peeps. Titans Review knows. Yes. I do believe in vet, Jasper. Yeah. We've talked about it quite a bit here on the channel. This feels like a pump and dump. If this isn't a signal, I don't know what it would be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a pump and dump. I think it could be like swing traders, maybe moving things up, and then we could retrace back down to, the levels of where we started the day. I mean, this was the start for Bitcoin. We got the big sell-off, GDP numbers came out, and then boom, it's just been up from here. Same thing happened with CPI data. Remember, we got the sell-off, and then boom, a jolt to the upside. So very interesting. Nice. I like that Honda game. Boca, good morning, man. Good morning, Dennis. Make sure you hit that like button. Shout out to Adam. Tell him to get prep done, please. Shout out to Adam. Tell him to get prep done, please. I don't know what that means. Are you talking about Adam Sheldon? Don't forget, ETH has been leading the pack here and there. Yes, and we have the merge coming up in September. ETH is soaring up too. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Hey, I mean, that 1 month chart for Ethereum looks pretty awesome. I mean, it's only 1 month. We'll see. But I mean, hey, I'm gonna take the good with that. I mean, that looks like a really nice 1 month chart. Sean, good morning, man. Filecoin, I have not got into, Chino. I mean, I get it. It's definitely a good system. There's another one out there. I think it's called Siacoin. Yeah, that's kind of a newer age version of Filecoin. I'd be more interested in that one. I think it's called Siacoin, right? Is that right? Hopefully I'm not botching that. Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, here it is, Siacoin. And it's just outside the top 100. I think this one has more room to run. It's less than 1 cent. Filecoin would definitely be a less risky investment because it's still a top 40, but it hasn't done a lot. Even in the last bull run. Well, I mean, I guess I take that back. Filecoin went crazy, actually. I take that back. Oh my gosh. Dude, this thing went over 180 bucks. Oh my gosh. What did Siacoin do? Yeah, look at this run. This was 2017. Oh my gosh. 0.003 all the way to 9 cents. Whew. Crazy. Man, if Ethereum can get to 1,700, that would be a really big psychological number too. There's only 16 likes on the stream? Really? Guys, smash that like button. It really helps us out. It's totally free. Are there really only 16 likes? No way. I don't think so, but good morning, fam. Ding, ding, ding. Tectonic is doing great. Are you aware of Tonic Coin from the... Yes, I'm aware of it. Good morning, Zach. What's up, Libre? 132 likes. That's still kind of whack. We need 200 likes, guys. 200 likes on the stream. Let's get it. I see 152. All right, we need 200 at least. We need 200 at least. I see a little positive momentum until the next FOMC meeting. Yeah, I agree. I hear you, Boko. Yeah. Well, if you haven't hit it, guys, smash it for us. Really helps us out. It's totally free. It's the best way to give back to YouTubers that you like. Hopefully you like this if you're hanging out. So let's see. Let's see here. Let's see what else they've got here on Bloomberg. We're going to wrap up in a little bit, but I want to see anything else that they say here.
So, Jim, talk to me about how far they'll take this. Let me read you this quote from Citi. Andrew Hollenhorst came out yesterday after the news conference, and he said, "We read Chair Powell's press conference as more hawkish than the market's interpretation. We continue to expect core inflation to push the Fed to hike more aggressively than they or markets anticipate, with a 75 basis point hike in September, policy rates reaching 4% by year end." Does that resonate with you in any way, shape, or form?
No, it totally resonates with me because that's very similar to what I think that the Fed is going to do as well. There's a belief in the marketplace that inflation is still not a thing, that it might be transitory, that it's what we call peak right now. The idea that the Fed has abandoned forward guidance is data dependent. There's a hope that over the next 2 or 3 months, the inflation data will clearly show a peak, both core and headline, and that will give the Fed room to back off on the rate hikes. If that happens, that's true, but I tend to be in the camp that the data is going to be the inflation data is going to be a little bit more sticky, especially the core data is going to be sticky. Look, the shelter numbers are going to almost guarantee that you're going to have very strong core inflation numbers. And that is going to keep the heat on the Fed to keep raising rates. And the wish of Wall Street that weak inflation data is just around the corner to get the Fed to back off might be dashed yet again.
Well, Wall Street's getting its wish right now. We're down 11 basis points on a 2-year in the United States, in the Treasury market, 288. Jim Bianco is going to stick with us. We're going to try and reestablish that connection with Sabatra as well. Let's talk about some single names. Big afternoon of earnings coming up. Here's Katie Lyons.
Yeah, buckle up, John. But of course, we've already had a big week so far, including Meta, which reported after the bell yesterday. First ever quarter of revenue growth dropping into negative territory. And actually, its guidance and forecast disappointed as well. They're suffering from that slowdown in ad spending, and it's exacerbated by the competition from TikTok, as well as those Apple privacy rule changes that Facebook has been warning about for some time. So that stock is down 4.5%. You also have Qualcomm down on disappointing guidance. It, of course, is the biggest chip maker for smartphones in particular, and it is warning that a weakening economy is going to mean consumer spending on mobile devices goes down. That stock down 3%. You also have Baxter International down about 7.5%. It's a healthcare supply company. It cut its full-year forecast, citing supply chain challenges and inflationary pressures. All stories we have heard before. One more positive story out there, not related to earnings, basically anything in the clean energy space, getting a huge bid today after that deal inked between Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer on clean energy spending. One of those stocks, Plug Power, up a whopping 17% before the opening bell, John.
Kelly, thank you. Coming up, the recession debate down in D.C.
We're not trying to have a recession, and we don't think we have to. I don't think the U.S. economy is in recession right now.
I can't guarantee you much in life, but if you go down to Congress this morning and ask a Republican if we're in recession, they'll say yes. If you ask a Democrat, they'll probably say no. We're going to cover that next.
Yeah, it's become super political, right? 100%. I grabbed a sledgehammer and slammed the like button. Nice, Tori. Awesome. Appreciate that. When can we see another collab with Austin Hilton? Oh, very soon, man. We'll be doing a lot more, Dr. Manga, for sure. For sure. Eventually, Marlet will be back in shape, and if you slept on bit. Kurt, I'm missing it, dude. I'm trying to figure out what that means there, man. Appreciate you, Boca. Trying to get to 200. That's the number. We can do it, guys. Tap that like button, gently hit it, smack it. Do whatever you need to do to that like button. And if you slept on crypto this year, you'll be kicking yourself 5 years from now. I agree. Do you see a reason why we're buying oil overseas and producing our own, like Open, the pipeline, which would offer thousands of jobs? Just that would drop gas prices and lower prices on produce. Yeah, it's so political, Luis, for sure. So many different factors at play there, but I hear you, man. Oil prices have been coming down a little bit. Hope everyone's doing well today. What's up, everybody's mama? Market, sorry. Okay, gotcha. Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Eventually, market will be back. Okay, my bad. I should have saw that, yeah. Smash that like. Nice. It's easier to destroy the environment somewhere else. America stays clean and eats its cake, too. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. When can we see a Discord server? I have a Discord, Dr. Benga. So our private community is linked down below, guys. If you want to join our Patreon, there's a Discord link to it. But I would wait till the first of the month, so you get a first full month. But come August 1st, I can't believe I'm saying August. If you want to join our private community, Manga, it's a great group. Boca is in there. We've got a ton of great moderators to help us all navigate the crypto waters together. So yeah, come join us August 1st, man, and jump in and see what we've got. We've got a weekly newsletter. We've got ongoing conversations about a ton of different topics in our Discord, and all of it is just $20 per month. So you can cancel at any time, but yeah, try it for a month, man. Hope to see you over there, Manga. We got some people spamming the chat, guys. YouTube's got to do something about that. It's ridiculous. This year is flying, Boca. Do we get signal in it? No trade signals. We might be able to set something up like that. We don't have signals in there now, but we do talk about like entry points and what we're looking. I think most of the people we have are more like long-term investors rather than traders, Manga, but we can definitely unpack that, man. So, Suleiman, this is kind of funny, man. I have 800 million. I said billion. I totally misspoke. I have 800 million with an M SHIB. So, no, I do not have $9 million worth of SHIB. I wish, but yeah. It's, 800 million. So almost a billion. Yeah. Yeah, appreciate that, Libre. Faye's in the house. Faye's in our private community too. I'm ready for the holidays already and wonderful Christmas music. Man, are you really, dude? As long as I can do Christmas in the warm weather this year, dude, I'm so done with the cold. So done with the cold, man. I don't have any Comey. No, I like it though. I like it. They don't. Yes, they will have a coin. It's not out yet though. PS5. But get ready. It's gonna be a great project. Looking forward to it. Despite what some people are saying, and there's always somebody looking for attention and saying it's this or it's that, and it's coming from people who don't even know what's going on. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, hey, do your own research. Don't listen to just random people on the internet saying it's this or it's that. Don't just listen to me. I mean, but that's the way I feel about it. I'm always shooting straight with you guys, giving you my opinions. I'm very excited about it. Very, very excited about it. So I did too. Utility run coming. Henrock, what's up? We need some TA guys in our Patreon Discord. Yeah, we could definitely add some of that, Luke. We'll, you know what? Let's actually try to do more of that, Boca. If we have some other people in our Discord, we'll meet about that. I think you're right, Luke. Personally, I'm not a big trader, but I guess a lot of people are, and especially during the bear market, right? Thanks, EMAC. Appreciate that. LOL, no way. Come to Texas and you'll be like begging for the cold. I know. If it's not one thing, it's the other, right? People in the South hate the summers, and people in the North hate the winters. Isabella, we don't have a date yet for Clear Cryptos, and we're not going to, provide a date and then, because things happen. They're taking their time. Great things take time. They're not rushing this. It's not something they just want to get out and, it'll launch when it's ready. It'll launch when it's ready. Soon the housing market will pop and you can look for a good spot in the sunshine. Exactly, dude. Exactly. I know that, Luis. I know that. I don't watch any anime, no. Champa Bay, what's up, man? Love it. All right, let's take one final look here. Ooh, the SPY is selling off here a little bit. Interesting. Bitcoin too is selling off. We're hanging in there above 23K right now, but we'll continue to monitor it all day. We sold all the way down here to like 22.5 and then bounced. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Again, the big news today, GDP comes in negative 0.9%, and we'll go from there. And thank you all so much for tuning in here this morning. Appreciate all the new people popping in. Definitely hit that subscribe button before you leave if you're new. Hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live again, put out another video. I did put out a video right before I went live if you want to check that out, talking about the bullish rate hikes yesterday and some opinions. So go over there and check out that video that I put out just before I came live. And welcome into all the new community members who found us here on this live stream. So glad to have you in our community. And let's continue to navigate these waters together and create winning portfolios and better our financial futures. So thank you all so much. Appreciate it. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care.